the tangled undercurrents of dominarian politics, where ambition writhed like a viper and power shimmered like a mirage, there existed a creature as vexing as a wasp and as persistent as kudzu, Ivy, the fairy rogue. For untold seasons, she had been a thorn in the side of the Tolarian administration, a mischievous sprite who reveled in deflating the pompous and puncturing the self-assured. Her methods were as unorthodox as they were infuriating, a bewildering display of fey magic that left her victims sputtering with frustration. Ivy was no hulking ogre, no fire-breathing dragon. Hers was a power woven from moonlight and whispers, a tapestry of illusions and sleights of hand that defied conventional understanding. Imagine a young Tolarian mage, brimming with newfound power, his robes billowing with self-importance as he strides through the hallowed halls. With a flick of her wrist and a silent giggle, Ivy would pluck his meticulously crafted spell from the air, leaving him blinking in confusion as his grand pronouncement fizzled into a sputtering cough. The humiliation was exquisite, a public deflation that sent ripples of amusement through the halls of power. Her motives were shrouded in the same gossamer veil that clung to her form. Some whispered of a rebellion, a fey insurgency against the rigid order imposed by the Tolarian Academy. Others believed her to be a trickster spirit, a creature of chaos who delighted in sowing discord for its own sake. The truth, as always with fairies, was likely somewhere in between. Perhaps she did harbor a sliver of defiance, a fayish amusement at the self-seriousness of mortals. Or maybe it was simply the sheer joy of the unexpected, the delight in watching the meticulously planned unravel with a giggle and a wink. Whatever her reasons, Ivy's presence was a constant source of irritation for the Tolarian authorities. Archmages grumbled behind closed doors, their frustration a palpable thing. Elaborate traps were set, wards woven with the finest enchantments, yet the fairy rogue seemed to flit through them with effortless grace. One day, she might be spotted pilfering pastries from the headmaster's private kitchen. The next, she would be whispering secrets in the ear of a visiting dignitary, leaving them flushed and flustered. The image of a flustered dignitary was, of course, particularly satisfying. The elusive nature of her attacks only heightened their impact. Unlike a brutish orc or a snarling goblin, Ivy left no easily identifiable trail. There were no scorched footprints or shattered doors, just a lingering sense of unease, and the suspicion that one's most carefully guarded plans were little more than sandcastles in the tide of fate. This pervasive uncertainty gnawed at the Tolarian leadership, a constant reminder of the limitations of their power. Here, in their grand halls of knowledge, they were vulnerable to the whims of a giggling fairy, a creature they could neither reason with nor overpower. The mages, for all their arcane prowess, were left with the unenviable task of playing whack-a-mole with a particularly nimble and infuriating mole. Every attempt to capture Ivy resulted in spectacular failure, each thwarted effort adding another layer of humiliation to the ever-growing pile. There were whispers of summoning specialists, of employing powerful artifacts to snare the elusive fairy. Yet such solutions felt unwieldy, like using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. Ivy was a creature of subtlety, and brute force was unlikely to succeed where cunning had failed. As for Ivy herself, she flitted through this web of intrigue with an impish grin. The frustration of the Tolarians only fueled her amusement. She was a master of her domain, a dancer in the halls of power, weaving chaos with the lightest touch. And as long as there was arrogance to be punctured and pomposity to be deflated, Ivy, the fairy rogue, would continue to be a thorn in the side of the Tolarian administration, a mischievous giggle echoing through the halls of power,